Always Auburn with your host, Tyler Crane.
All right, we're back at you Tuesday afternoon with Always Auburn coming at you. And I told you yesterday, I kept my word now. I told you yesterday that we were going to have some improvements with the sound and the audio. The headphones stopped working on me yesterday, and I didn't want to not make a video, so I just kind of talked into the phone, and it was a little staticky, but you could hear me, and it was clear what I was saying. But we're not having that. We're holding this channel to a higher standard, and when there's problems, we're going to fix them. So we've evolved from the headphones to now we got this little microphone that came in the mail today. And I don't know how great this thing is. It's not very expensive. It's nowhere near probably what you see on these shows with the guys with the big microphones that look like they're on the news or the Grammys or all these other, major broadcast networks. It's nothing like that. But at the same time, it is improvement. We're taking steps. We're building a better all around network with it, and this is a part of the process. So you got to crawl before you can walk, and we're starting to get up, and eventually we're going to be walking, and sooner or later we're going to be running and sprinting on this channel. So I appreciate y'all bearing with me through these early stages, and I'm committed to continuing this program and continuing to bring you good, up to date, informative and credible content on this channel in the name of Auburn Sports. So, besides that, we're going to move into today's show. And on today's show, we're going to take the show for the tragic news that we heard today. And the majority of the show is going to be dedicated towards that because rightfully, as Auburn people, a man of such stature and a man who gave a lot to this university through what we love on that football field, passed away. And it's extremely sad that a person would take his or her own life, regardless of what they're affiliated with sports and just life in general, outside of Auburn and things of that nature. This is sad no matter who the person is. But when it happens to one of ours and someone who, in my case, grew up watching and admired and wore his jersey, that number 32, it's a sad day. It is a sad day. I have great memories of Rudi Johnson. I can remember standing in the Tiger Walk as a young man, as a child, a young child, 7, 8 years old. I'm only 33, with my grandparents and shaking Rudi Johnson's hand. I remember those memories, wearing a Rudi Johnson jersey. He was a fun player to watch. He brought a sense of toughness to the game. He really kind of engraved that tough running back mentality that a lot of these guys who came after him and who were before him really lived up to at Auburn. Two of them are behind me on the wall, by the way, Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams, who came after Rudi. Rudi lived up to the names that were before him, Joe Cribbs, Bo Jackson, Stephen Davis. He lived up to those men's names and carried on that tradition at Auburn as a tough, hard-nosed, physical running back. And it is sad that this happened to him. Apparently, what was reported is that he took his life due to a lot of mental health struggles that can kind of refer back to the possibility of CTE. And I'm no doctor. I don't know the diagnosis or anything along those lines. I'm just merely, when I talk about that, I'm just reporting what I've read on the internet and what has been put out there. So, but it is sad. it really is sad just knowing that Rudi Johnson, you were a part of my walk. And I'm sure a lot of other Auburn men and women feel the same way, that you were a part of my journey, my walk, my pride of being an Auburn Tiger. You were one of the men who helped mold me into my love and genuine just joy that comes with watching Auburn men get on that field and put on that AU and strap up those pads and put that helmet on and tote that football on the field. You helped shape that love and that passion that is within me for the game of football and for Auburn University. And I am forever grateful for Rudi Johnson and for how he played the game of football. I know he left behind a family, and I hope Auburn University really, and I know they will, really takes the initiative in supporting them through this tough time, because Rudi Johnson, I one thing about Rudi Johnson, I was young, I was very young watching Rudi Johnson play football. He was at Auburn probably late 90s, 99 into the early 2000s. He was out of there by about, I want to say, '01. Could be, I could be off a little bit, but that's around the range of when he was at Auburn. But one thing that stands out to me when I think about Rudi Johnson, because I was at a lot of those games, and I was fortunate enough to be at a lot of those games, and I watched a lot of those games on TV as well. And the one thing that I remember about Rudi Johnson is that he was big. He was a physical downhill runner, that he got the tough yards, and just everything about his game was 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 grit and toughness, and it didn't matter if it was 1 yard, 2 yards, he was going to get it. He was a tough running back, and I don't know him as a human, but as a personally, but a lot of times, like, just our characteristics as an athlete on the football field, the characteristics that these young men have really can you can see their personality and how they play. So I believe Rudi Johnson was a hard worker in all phases of life, not just on the football field. I believe Rudi Johnson was a hard worker. He was loyal to Auburn University, which makes me believe that he was a family man, that he had a pure heart, he had good intentions. Now, everyone faces struggles in life and nobody's perfect. So, in no way, shape, or form are we ever going to look at, when things like this happen, are we ever going to bring up maybe some of the trials that people go through, because we all go through it. But rather, we're going to keep in mind that Rudi Johnson was an Auburn man, and he gave a lot of effort and a lot of his life to Auburn University and to children like me when I was a young man, and helped me, molded me into loving Auburn and finding a joy in something outside of myself, which is Auburn football and the success, the pure joy that I used to feel and still do feel when Auburn performs well, and when those young men really enjoy putting on the orange and blue. They talk about family at Auburn. It really, truly is. Someone who's been around the university for a long time. I have been around the university for a long time. I have family members that have been around the university for a long time. It dates back in my family for a long time, many generations of grandparents and uncles and brothers and sisters, all point, and cousins, all point to Auburn University. And it is a family, and when something like this happens, our family is hurting. So Auburn fans, the loyal ones, the people who've been around since day one, who's been through the highs and the lows, it's a tough day for us, because we remember a great running back by the name of Rudi Johnson. who brought a lot of joy into a lot of our hearts by what he did on that football field as an Auburn Tiger. So my heart goes out to Rudi Johnson's family and his loved ones. And I wish that all the best for them. And I pray that Auburn University will get behind that family and lift them up in this trialing time. So we're also going to move on, and we're going to pay homage to our man Bruce. You know, I started this channel during football season. I plan to continue it through basketball, to continue it through baseball. It's going to be a year-round thing. I'm more of a I have more of a football background, but at the same time, I know sports very well, and basketball I'm pretty sharp as well. So, and baseball as well too. So we're going to continue into basketball season, and we'll talk about what we expect with Steve and heading as we get closer to the season. But a little time to take a moment to kind of pay homage to Bruce. You know, Bruce Pearl really, man, you are the Pat Dye, and this is nothing, not downplaying anything that Pat Dye ever did at Auburn, at Auburn University. I love Pat Dye with all my heart. Never met the man a day in my life, but I feel like I know him. You, Bruce Pearl, brought Auburn basketball out of the depths in the same way that Pat Dye resurrected the Auburn football program. Auburn basketball was nothing more or less than a joke for a long time, for a very long time. You can count maybe one or two seasons prior to when Bruce was there throughout the past 30 years. The last time Auburn was a force before Bruce was there, a year or two with Cliff Ellis, and then you got to point all the way back to Charles Barkley and Sonny Davis. We just were not good. We were not a basketball school. We didn't recruit basketball players, and we did not put the type of energy that we put into football and other sports. And Bruce Pearl, you came to Auburn and changed the narrative. You restored, you made Auburn basketball just as proud as Auburn football is, just as traditional, just as dominant, just as much as a force and a noteworthy mark. You turned our basketball program into something that we have never seen or experienced, at least someone my age, in their lifetime. And I am forever grateful for that. I can say that I saw my Auburn Tigers go to Final Fours. I can say that I saw them in March Madness dancing and advancing, dancing and advancing. I can say that I used to fill out that bracket and I could put Auburn in the national championship and have a good load of confidence behind that pick. People would not think I was crazy. I mean, I remember as a kid when I first found out what the NCAA tournament was, and my dad told me, I was like, why is Auburn not ever in this? You know, watching it on TV. I said, why is Auburn not in this? Why can't we be in this? And he said something along the lines of, we're not good enough to be in this. And that was the mentality around Auburn basketball for the first probably 18, 19, 20 years of my life. 20, yeah. And Bruce Pearl came and changed the narrative. Year by year, consistency, put players in the NBA, Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler, Isaac Okoro, Chumo Kiki. Those guys are in the NBA. And there's Sharif Cooper. Did you ever expect 10, 15 years ago that you would be saying multiple Auburn players put on an NBA jersey. So it's something to be very proud of as an Auburn fan, as somebody who wears that on their chest. And I am forever grateful that Bruce Pearl came to Auburn and he established a legacy that I believe, and he didn't just leave us. That's the beautiful thing about it. Like Bruce directed the path. He had a plan. And I don't think it falls off with Steven, to tell you the truth. I don't think Bruce is going to let it, to tell you the truth. Yeah, he may be retiring, but just like Pat Dye had his hands on Terry Bowden, the real ones know that. Just like Pat Dye had his hands on Terry Bowden, you best believe Bruce Pearl's going to have his hands on Stephen Pearl and making sure what he sowed into this program continues to flourish and continues his legacy through his son's coaching. So today is with the news about Rudi Johnson and the retirement of Bruce Pearl yesterday, today's a tough day for Auburn University. And I'm not even comparing the two, so please don't twist my words. Rudi Johnson is a tragedy. It did not need to happen. It should not have happened. I wish he had somebody to talk to, somebody to talk him off that ledge, because nobody deserves to have to feel like that is the only way out. I have struggled with things throughout my life, and I thank God that before it ever came to anything like that, there was somebody there, and there were people who loved me enough to that I knew I could talk to. And I hate that Rudi felt like he had to do that, but we never know what was going through his head. But regardless, we are grateful. I am grateful for what I saw Rudi Johnson do on the football field. I'm grateful to know that man's name, and I'm grateful that he played football at the greatest university in the United States of America. So we're going to get off this episode kind of a different feel today, and we'll be back at you tomorrow bright and early. I'm going to do some film study this evening, and we're going to get ready for Texas A&M, and it's time to make a statement, boys, with this and just everything that's been circling our university. It's time to heal, and it's time to make a statement that Auburn football is back and well, and let's restore that pride. So y'all have a good evening. Everyone be blessed, and War Eagle.